Oh, here we go. The king is clutch.
Oh, no.
Is this just the start of another title run for one LeBron James? Hey, Steph was splashing last night. Do we still believe in the Warriors, who now must win to stay alive? And check this out. Should Golden State fans be worried about LeBron and Steph's little post-game chat? Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe alongside a very giddy Nick Wright. We got Brandon back. Kevin Wild's with us. Nick,
Brandon's
when
back.
LeBron called you after the game to tell you about this little chat, like, you can't even focus. He's so annoying. He can't even focus. He's so happy and giddy. The guy can't even focus.
LeBron. He was in continuous treatment for the trauma to his eye. We'll keep you posted on that. I think he's going to avoid surgery, but I'm not sure yet. We'll keep you posted throughout the day. But it was a nice little
You wouldn't know it the way he reacted last night. You would not know it. All right, that is exactly where we start this morning. Let's call it a classic from the Staples Center and a tough night for LeBron. Look, still battling ankle trouble. Then he got poked in the eye in the fourth quarter by Draymond Green, and it did not matter. Oh, we're calling it a gouge. You got gouged? Because LeBron James, here it is, a minute later, hitting the only shot that mattered. From the logo, under a minute left to play, that would be your game winner. Lakers locking up the 7 seed with a big win for them, and for LeBron, another brilliant playoff moment for the resume. Here's the king after the win.
I put in a lot of work in my game. After drape my finger to the eye, I was literally seeing three rims out there. So I just shot out the middle one, and I was able to, through the grace of the man above, I was able to knock it down.
I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. Nick, I can't see my eye. What's your reaction to last night's play and win by LeBron and the Lakers? What was your reaction?
Well, listen, oddly enough, LeBron couldn't see before the shot, and Steph couldn't see after the shot because he got hit right between the eyes. He had blurry vision. He's like, oh, no, I'm the one that's supposed to do that, but that's not, of course, how it went. Listen, I could focus if I wanted to about, LeBron James, the greatest player ever, having another Pantheon playoff moment. That is the second longest shot to win a postseason game in the final minute that we have seen since they've started tracking those things in the last 20 years. The only shot longer is the famous Damian Lillard shot against Paul George in the Oklahoma City Thunder when Dame waved goodbye to everybody. So we could focus on that. We could focus about how that was actually, when you really think about it, LeBron's worst high-leverage playoff game in years. And it ended being 22-11-10 and the game-winning dagger right in the guy's eye that everyone thought would hit the game-winning dagger. But instead, I want to focus on what we saw most notably in the second half last night, which is playoff basketball. And nobody tell those sleepy contenders in Brooklyn, but that's what it looks like. You know how you can survive your best three players going 4 for 28 in a first half? If you come out in the second half and get stops. The second half last night, the Golden State Warriors made 17 baskets and had 15 turnovers. And over the next 2 months, in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, what you are going to see is it's going to come down to who can get stops. And the Lakers, for all their inconsistency, for all their injuries, for all the lineup changes and starting lineup tweaks, the one thing that has been consistent from game 1 to game 73 is they are the best defense in basketball. And when you add to it the best player in basketball history who just has a history, I guess would be the word, of making the biggest shots we've ever seen, that's what you see. And with that, I say, Brandon, I am so glad to have you back this morning. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about that game.
Hey, listen, Last night was awesome. But first, Nick, why do you have to make this into a drama? This is not a drama. I love how you just talked about, the history and LeBron James and first half, second half. It was a great game. It was the first play-in weekend. It was phenomenal. Warriors versus Lakers. The first half, I absolutely enjoyed just the thought of you sweating. You know, LeBron James, he didn't look well. AD, the same OD we've been seeing all year. I'm on Twitter. I'm sitting there saying, oh, man, I'm loving this. Nick Wright's going to have a long day tomorrow. And then the second half came. And then LeBron James throwing some dimes, making some big plays, the stops that you talked about. But you got to highlight the Warriors, man. The Warriors played phenomenal. If you go back to that first half, defensively, I mean, they were on one string. They were playing together. It was phenomenal seeing Draymond Green stand up and play against AD, stand up and play against LeBron James. He made them boys look like they were just rookies. That's how awesome he played. Yep. And the reason why they were able to stand up in the second half and make big play after big play is because, you know, it's the Warriors, Nick. I'm sorry to say it, but it's just the Warriors. And if you think that type of play out of AD in the first half, going 2 for 12, 0 for 3 from deep, 3 turnovers, looking lost on defense at times, if you think that type of play is going to beat the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Jazz, like, you're mistaken. They're certainly not going to beat the Nets. So if you want to see this team take another step, you need to call your boy AD and just figure out what is going on. It just continues to happen week after week after week. And while I'm sorry, man, it was a great game. It was great for basketball. It was great for the fans. But the Lakers, it's boom or bust. That's what it's about.
Okay. Man, I feel way more confident in the Lakers after watching that game than you do, Brandon. And there was 3 big winners last night. I do, man. LeBron was a big winner. Our buddy Nick Wright was a big winner. And Nick, you know who was the secret big winner? Evan Wash. EVP, basketball and strategy for the NBA, because the play-in is here to stay. It was just not only, it was a great night for the NBA, and it proves how important it is to constantly tweak your game. We've seen the NFL do it. The NFL is always putting wrinkles into the game to make it more exciting and more interesting, and that's what we saw the NBA do last night, and they came up big winners. There was a playoff urgency to it. It felt like a miniature finals game. It had all the aspects of the NCAA tournament. Now, I know, Nick, there's an argument like, all right, what if it went the other way? What if you took so much out of Steph and the Warriors that you don't see them in the playoffs? Maybe they get knocked out. Say, you know what? I think that's the price that we pay for having an all-time instant classic. And I expect the NBA to start tinkering with the schedule a little bit more. We've kicked around like those mid-season tournaments. I don't know how it's going to come to fruition, but it's a big win for the NBA and their ability to inject urgency in what's otherwise a sleepy beginning of the playoffs.
Okay, well, a couple things. One is I agree with a lot that you said, as long as the Warriors win Friday. If the Warriors lose Friday and we get the Grizzlies getting just dog-walked by the Jazz in round 1, instead of without the play-in, we would have had Lakers-Suns, which we're getting, and Jazz-Warriors, we'll see if we'll get it. Then I think your buddy Evan at the NBA, while last night's going to be a ratings bonanza, I think it's going to be a little bittersweet because they want the Warriors and Steph Curry in the playoffs. To your other point about the NBA tweaking the schedule, listen, I'm not privy to those conversations in the league office. They won't even give me a vote. So I don't know what they're planning on doing. But Brandon, here's what I do know. Whatever tournament, playoff kind of simulation they add, you know who's going to be the best player in it? LeBron. The best player in playoff history. Guess what? Greatest play-in performance ever. Jason Tatum had 50. I give him credit, but he didn't have a 34-footer in Steph Curry's eyeballs to win the game. He didn't have that. So listen, we've got LeBron James already had the record, Brandon, for most playoff buzzer beaters and game winners. Now he has the record for most play-in buzzer beaters at a midseason tournament. Add that to the resume. It'll be fun. Hopefully LeBron's still playing.
Listen, I'm with you. I always tell you I'm with you when you're right. Look, LeBron James, king of the playoffs. LeBron James, king of the finals. And now LeBron James can add something else to the resume that you can talk about for the next 20 years, and that's the king of the play-in games, Jenna. Absolutely ridiculous. The inaugural play-in games and LeBron James hit a 34-foot fadeaway three-pointer, please.
I know. Yeah. But can we just give a little credit, and you did, Brandon, give a little credit to the Warriors who played him tough last night and hung with him till that last shot. We got to talk more about this little post-game chat between LeBron and Steph. Yes, it was a sign of things to come, perhaps. We'll dive into it next. This is First Things First.
Credit to Steph. Set the all-time play-in record.
Time for a little drawing a blank. And we got some breaking football news this morning. The Jacksonville Jaguars have reportedly agreed to a deal with Tim Tebow. Yes, Tim Tebow, the tight end. Tim Tebow will be on the field today as part of the Jaguars' off-season program, competing for a roster spot now. So, Brandon Marshall, Tebow reportedly signing a contract with the Jags is blank.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you could throw so many words up there. I mean, great for business. Why not? Let's go, Tebow time, Tebow mania. It doesn't matter. Throw them all up there. This is great. I know Nick is adamant about this being bad for football. It's bad for the players that's been trying. But look, the Jaguars 5 years ago, 6 years ago was considered going to London to play games over there. Like, that's what they were thinking about. Because of this market, I played in Jacksonville several times, and the bottom bowl is kind of full. And then up top, they have like these tarps that's covering up the games. We're talking about Jacksonville Jaguar games being blacked out. Tim Tebow's from the Jacksonville area. He's going to fill up the stands. He went to University of Central Florida. So, 90-minute drive out west. So this is great for the organizations, great for business. Ticket sales will go up. TV ratings will go up. And it's also great for the locker room. Why not? Why not bring a guy like Tim Tebow in that bolster your tight ends group? He can come in and he can catch a few balls, Nick. Why not? Whatever Vegas is throwing out there, I'm taking the over.
Okay, well, you won't have to go to Vegas. You've got my number. I will book all the Tebow overs you want. I'll even give you a 10% discount on the VIG. So don't worry about that. We'll deal with that off the air. Wilds, my answer to this is Tim Tebow signing with the Jags is a pension plan. Literally. And I credit to my good friend and Patriots great linebacker Ted Johnson, won 3 Super Bowls with your team, Wilds, for pointing this out a few weeks ago. Tim Tebow needs 3 games to be a fully vested player pension-wise. This is Urban Meyer doing his guy a solid. I do not think it will go over well in the locker room. I do not think he's going to hit any of Brandon's overs, but we're going to get to see because now he's officially signed, Wilds.
So you've got the over-under at 3 games. I'm going to take the under, far under. I think he doesn't make it 1 game. I think he came out with the Patriots. The Patriots signed him for 2 years, Brandon. 2-year contract. Bill Belichick's like, yeah, let's give him a shot. He played in 2 preseason games. And you know what he did afterwards? Out of here. If it was going to work anywhere, it would have worked with Bill Belichick 10 years ago. So I don't think it works now. Bill Belichick's always going to spot talent, undervalued talent, underrated talent, and give him another chance. He's got a long history of it. But rarely does he take a flyer on a guy, cut them, and then they go on to have success 10 years later. And by rarely, I mean never. Go ahead.
Wilds, 30 catches for Tim Tebow. Nick, 30 catches for Tim Tebow. That's 1 right there.
Yep, maybe
here we go. Let's go, Tebow.
Put the Rolex
Let's go,
on it.
Tebow.
We'll go Rolex against my watch.
Let's see. Maybe Belichick just had him at the wrong position, Wilds. Back to basketball now after the play-in game ended last night. LeBron and Steph seen embracing on the court. Little conversation. Some saying LeBron, the recruiter, back in action. Brandon, last night's post-game chat between Steph and LeBron should have Warriors fans feeling blank.
Listen, Jeff Van Gundy almost had me last night. I'm watching the first half. I'm enjoying it because I just got this vision of Nick just sweating, right? Like Draymond Green all over the place on AD and LeBron James at times. You know, all the guys were knocking down big shots. And Jeff Van Gundy's like, you know what? If they had Klay Thompson, this team would have been really good this year. Next year, this team's going to be great. He started talking about Wiggy, he started talking about the younger guys, talk about how Steph Curry is playing. And then I just had to remember, like, yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? The last 20 games, they won 15 games. The last 9 games, they won 8 out of 9. But the reality is, it's the Warriors. Not very good. So I got to say, uh-oh, because Steph Curry was reminded last night that the team is not that great, right? Because they had this magical horrible run the last 2 months, and after being beaten by a team that has a struggling AD, he's like, you know what, it's time for me to get out of here. So if I'm a Warriors fan, I'm like, uh-oh, Steph Curry may be on the move.
Yeah, I think, Brandon, you're on to something here. So, Wilds, the question is, how should Warriors fans feel? Warriors fans should be feeling like me. And by that I mean, and there are tweets that are still up, because I don't delete tweets to back this up. Once upon a time, I also could not fathom ever rooting for the Lakers. Once upon a time, I claimed to, oh, Lakers, oh my goodness. And then what happens is, your guy goes to the Lakers, and you're like, you know what? That's the greatest franchise in NBA history. Warriors fans, get ready. Because you're going to be feeling, you're going to have a lot of tweets that you're like, oh boy, do I leave them up? Well, that old tweet about LeBron and the Lakers and this, do I leave it up? Because when Steph, if and when Steph ditches the Warriors old school Oakland jerseys for some actual throwbacks, those beautiful powder blue Minneapolis jerseys, you're going to be being like, guess what? I'm a Steph Curry fan, not a Warriors fan. You're going to find out. So they're going to be feeling like me, Wilds.
Okay, they're not. They should feel totally fine. This game came down to a shot by someone who couldn't see the rim, or, if you want to believe, saw 3 rims. So I think it would be quite different, Nick, if LeBron came out and destroyed Steph. If this game was a runaway blowout, and after the game they hugged, and it was like, dude, you don't have enough. Even with Clay, you don't have enough. If you want to start winning championships, come on down to LA. But since it was so close, and we saw that Warriors basketball, moving the ball, playing fast defense, doing Draymond things, can work, I think they should feel totally fine. I don't think Steph's going anywhere.
Ooh, don't know about that.
All right, so the reason that LeBron saw 3 rims is because of this. Just over 2 minutes left. Dre poked LeBron right in the eye.
Hide your eyes.
King said, yeah, right?
Please.
He was seeing triple and still nailed that 34-footer. Brandon, Draymond's foul on LeBron was blank.
Yeah, seeing 3 rims, 34-footer, fadeaway. Throw the fadeaway on there, and you're talking about you're seeing 3 rims and you just nail it like that. Please. No, this is, come on, man. Draymond's foul on this is Jordan rules. Why is it Jordan rules? Because if you go back and watch Jordan's entire career, this is what he dealt with every single night for what, 13 years, 15 years, whatever he played. Come on, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Pistons, and even the Lakers, Nick. So this is Jordan rules. LeBron James deal with this every so often.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you that Jordan did deal with a lot of these brutal fouls, and that is part of his legend. We're like, oh my God, look at how dirty the Pistons were. And yet, when it happens to LeBron, you've got guys I love, Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, saying, oh, he kept his arms straight up. Kept his arms straight up. So this is a Rorschach test. You're going to see what you want to see. If you want to see the world clearly and accurately, which LeBron may never be able to do again thanks to having his eye brutally gouged. It's the worst eye gouge I've seen on television since the Mountain versus the Viper in Game of Thrones. That's what you're going to see. If you are, if you have LeBron James derangement syndrome and you think everything he does is bad, you're like, oh, it's clean foul. Well, I don't know why he's grabbing his eye. Could it be because the 6'6" guy put his thumb into it, which isn't even legal in UFC? So it's a Rorschach test, Wilds. You're going to see what you want to see. You can see what actually happened or what your brain makes you think happened. What?
Okay, it was obviously a flagrant, and I was shocked that Steve Javie's like, I don't know, he went straight up with it. Because Steve Javie's always kind of predicts what the ref is going to say, and then just kind of tries to support them. So I was shocked that there was some, argument that getting hit in the head was not going to be a flagrant foul. But my answer is half calf. And why do I say half calf? This is fully calf. Half calf because I thought it was a defining play of Draymond's game, which half of it was totally awesome. And half of it wasn't totally awesome. The first half for Draymond, he was crushing. No turnovers, no fouls. He was amazing.
Yes, he was.
Second half, I thought he was going to come out and be fantastic after Steph hit that 3. But unfortunately, he started throwing the ball to the wrong team and committing offensive fouls, some of which are questionable. But overall, a wonderful game by Draymond. But I think this will be the defining play of the game, obviously. It gives us the whole narrative and gives Nick several
Come on,
ways to
Draymond. I'm so glad you highlighted that because that was a big deal. Draymond Green. Come on, Draymond. You got to do better than that. But here's the deal, Nick. Can we go back to that video of LeBron James on the sideline, the trainer pouring something in his eyes? Because, like, come on, is that dirt? This was a little touch. This little dirt got in there. Who pours water in an eye? I've heard of Visine. I'm sure there's other things that you can put in the eye, Nick. That shows it wasn't a big deal. It's water. Who puts water in an eye? Like,
Brandon, I don't think that was water.
Come on, scratch cornea.
Brandon, Visine is what you use if you have dirt in your eye. What they were using there is the solution you need if you have a detached cornea. So it's a detached cornea repair solution. That's what it was. I'm amazed LeBron was able to play.
Everybody settle down. He got poked in the eye. Hey, LeBron, drama classes are on Saturday. So
seeing triple.
Okay.
Drama classes?
We're talking.
You got eye gouge, Jenna. What are they going to fish hook him next?
We got to talk about that clutch shot from LeBron, the one he took completely blind, 100%, because he got both eyes knocked out. Are the guys buying LeBron was really seeing 3 rims? We discuss next. First things first.
That was a good shot.
Double
good shot,
Saturday
King.
and
good
Sunday.
Shot,
hey, let's get back to the playing game last night. Lakers and Warriors.
Blur this
and LeBron
out,
James,
guys.
fourth quarter, winding down.
Kids
no, he gets poked in the eye by Draymond. That didn't stop him. Just a little bit of this in my eye. And with a minute left to play, LeBron's out there with the clutch 34-footer. The go-ahead, the stay-ahead bucket over Steph Curry. The Lakers get the win. They are your 7th seed. And LeBron, with that gouged eye, as Nick said, remains the king. Here he is after the game.
And I put in a lot of work on my game. After drape my finger to the eye, I was literally seeing three rims out there. So I just shot out the middle one, and I was able to, through the grace of the man above, I was able to knock it down.
All right, Nick.
So good.
Let's just take a step back. Let's be objective here. Was LeBron's shot more clutch or more luck?
All right, I'll be objective. Whether or not LeBron was seeing 3 rims or not, we can discuss later, I suppose. I am so bothered that this is a question. And by the way, I'm not bothered. I'm not angry at our producers. This game was on ESPN, and my dear friend Stephen A. is the first person to talk about it, and he just declared, this is a lucky shot. I mean, obviously, it's a lucky shot. So this is part of the conversation. In no universe, except for the one involving this specific player, would that shot ever be considered a lucky shot. He catches the ball, squares his shoulders, beats the shot clock, and hits almost nothing but net. It is not banked in. It doesn't bounce around like Kawhi's baseline game winner. He didn't use an odd shooting form. But this is the definition of a clutch shot by, and this comment here is the one that makes people mad, even though all the numbers back it up. It was a clutch shot by the most clutch playoff performer in NBA history. The man with the most game winners in playoff history, the man with the most buzzer beaters in playoff history, the man who has hit those shots at the highest percentage of anyone in playoff history, now just adds in play-in history the first ever game winner, less than a minute remaining. By the way, if you call this a playoff game, Brandon, it's the second longest game winner we've had in 20 years. The only one longer was Dame's shot. And I was on TV when Dame hit his shot. You know what wasn't being discussed? Lucky shot. Oh, my God. Lucky shot. And I guarantee you, if the roles were reversed and Steph Curry hit a 34-footer in LeBron's eye, he would have been only one eye, one good eye. In LeBron's eye, we would be like, oh, was Steph lucky? Like, oh, was that a lucky shot? We'd be like, oh, my God, Steph Curry, make him the new logo. So this is why Brandon LeBron wins a title and says, I want my damn respect. Because he hits a game winner to move into the playoffs. We're like, Skill or luck? Don't know. Good arguments on both sides.
Oh, my goodness. You and these words, you're such a wordsmith. And man, I'm watching this shot. I'm watching this game like everybody else. And I'm like, man, Nick Wright is going to be talking about this for the next 20 years. Another thing to add to his toolbox when he's on these on First Things First.
Bang.
Please, look, it's both, Nick. That's what it is. It's luck and it's clutch. Why is that? Because when you look at the luck side of it, I mean, you said it. He's sitting back there from 34 feet. You didn't talk about it's a fadeaway. He's seeing three. It's contested by Steph. And I know we talked about this in the break, but it's actually good D. He's supposed to get in there in the paint and be ready to help out if he can, because LeBron James is sitting back there from 34 feet. So that's the luck part. But it's clutch because as a player, when the game is on the line, this is what clutch players do. This is what big players do. You find a way. It doesn't matter if your shot's altered. It doesn't matter if your shot's contested. You find a way. And LeBron James found a way, and now he's the king of the play-in game, king of the playoffs, king of finals. You know, this is why he could potentially go down as the GOAT one day if AD happens to stand up and do his part.
Whoa, boy. Brandon, you are 100% right. LeBron found a way, and he was not himself the entire game. He didn't have a super explosiveness. He wasn't attacking the rim. He wasn't playing crazy closeout defense. He looked like a guy whose ankle was bothering him and couldn't get his shot to go down, and he found a way. And Nick, when he hit this shot, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy came in and couldn't play the game that he wanted to play. He had to play a different game to a point where it felt like, and this is not an exaggeration, when a dad plays with a bunch of kids and doesn't want to score and just sits at the point at the top of the key like, bingo. Oh, Kuzma, you've been nothing's happened all game. Bingo. Caruso, bingo. Who else wants one? Bingo. He's just making it all happen without moving. And the fact that he hit this, a shot that he didn't want to take and obviously wasn't drawn up, just shows, Brandon, just like you said, that the guy can find a way. And Nick, that's what I find the most impressive about the shot.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because he wasn't himself. And I said it earlier, he didn't play a great game. But if we call this a semi-elimination game, it's the worst semi-elimination or elimination game he's played in at least 4 years. And yet he still ends with a triple-double and the game winner. But there is a belief amongst, I can't say LeBron, I think LeBron believes this, but I don't know that. I know there is a belief amongst almost all the people closest to LeBron that he is evaluated so much differently, not than every other NBA player, but than every other NBA superstar. So I just want the audience, and even if you hate what I say about LeBron, think about this and be honest with yourself. If LeBron and Steph's nights were exactly reversed, if LeBron had been excellent throughout the game, and then in the second half had 4 turnovers, including a critical one with minutes remaining, where after the turnover, he complains about not getting a call, doesn't get back on defense, and the opposition scores. And Steph struggles throughout the game, and then in the final minute, in LeBron's eye, hits a 34-footer to win the game. What's the narrative this morning? Because the narrative this morning is LeBron hit a shot, LeBron's great. Steph also, what a game. Amazing game. And by the way, LeBron's shot might have been a little lucky. If everything were reversed, the narrative would be, oh, LeBron blows it down the stretch again, and Steph found a way, was having a tough night. But then in the biggest spot, that's why
what makes the king
he's
the
the guy
king.
you want taking those shots. Go ahead, Brandon.
Exactly, but that's what makes the king the king. When you are you're in the conversation of being one of the GOATs or the GOAT, you know, that's what comes with it. You know, we want these debates. We want to have these conversations. And that's why LeBron James is always one of the fan favorites, because he continues to step up, hit big shots, and he says the right things and do the right things. But the reality is he's a little bit of a drama king as well, talking about 3 rims. Please, I saw 3 rims. Get out of here, beat it.
But I agree with you, Brandon, if I were saying LeBron, how LeBron is evaluated compared to how, say, Klay Thompson's evaluated when Klay gets healthy.
Right.
Or Bradley Beal or other great players. But the two most decorated players of this generation are LeBron and Steph. I sent Wilds the article yesterday. It was written, hey, it's time to admit it. Steph Curry, finally, better than LeBron James. The SB Nation does the poll. Who would you want taking the final shot, LeBron or Steph? 72% takes Steph. Who do you trust more in an elimination game? 78% said Steph. So we can't have all those things out there and then be like, oh, well, of course, Steph's not evaluated the same way LeBron is. He's not the same caliber player. We talk about him like he is one of the 15 greatest players of all time, which he is. And it's just, this question would not be being asked with Steph. Was it a lucky shot? I guarantee you that. And LeBron did it basically blind.
All right.
He was basically blind, Jenna.
So now what? Now what? Gosh. It's hard to take you seriously. Now what for the Lakers? What do they have ahead of them right now? Is this just the start of another title run? We'll have that next. But first, check out Packers running back A.J. Dillon showing off his monstrous quads.
Don't worry, I got you. You see the shirt. The Quad Father's here, man.
Back here, first things first, we got Chris Broussard joining us now. And Broussard, last night's Warriors-Lakers game did, in fact, live up to the hype and is now an instant classic. And while Steph Curry did his part, LeBron, despite battling the sore ankle, getting poked in the eye, still hit the shot that mattered most. From the logo, under a minute left to play, and that would be the game winner. That would have the Lakers locking up the 7th seed as well. Chris Broussard, what was your reaction to last night's win by LeBron and the Lakers?
Well, my first reaction was this was definitely why whoever came up with the play-in tournament, or that bleep, as LeBron called it, should not only not be fired, but they should be promoted. This was fantastic. We got to see two of the all-time great players, the most defining players of this generation outside of Kobe Bryant, in an arena that you rarely get to see NBA players in, which was a one-and-done situation. And so it was tremendous. And the best part is it's not quite one and done, right? It's not quite March Madness because Steph and the Warriors still have life. And I don't think anyone living outside of Memphis wants Golden State's season to end this week. So we got the best of both worlds last night. It was a tremendous game, as you said it. Instant classic. I've got several takeaways. We're going to get to Golden State, I think, in the next segment. So I'm going to focus on the Lakers. The Lakers are more vulnerable than I thought. And they're my pick in the West, and I'm sticking with them. But they are more vulnerable than I thought, largely because LeBron clearly is not even close physically to 100%. And you could see last night at the beginning of the game, in the first half, he couldn't expose like an Andrew Wiggins inside. You know, he got inside, but was missing stuff around the rim because he doesn't have the burst and the explosion getting up like he's used to. We'll see if he gets that back as time goes on. But for the time being, he's going to have to get by on his skills and on his smarts, which obviously he's got plenty, and he did it last night. But that was something that stood out for me. Secondly, with the Lakers, and you guys know, I've been saying this, they have something that no one outside of the Clippers can match up with, and that is tremendous size. All right? But last night, the Warriors' biggest player was 6'9". LeBron's 6'9". Then you got Andre Drummond at 7 feet and AD basically at 7 feet. And yet, here's the problem. Even when the Lakers are big, they play small. They don't play big. I was yelling at the TV last night in the first half, like, what are you doing? I'm seeing Anthony Davis out there constantly at the three-point line, constantly in the perimeter, even when a Kent Bazemore or some other small players on him. He couldn't expose Draymond Green in the post, who is a great defender, but is half a foot shorter than AD almost. So AD wasn't able to exploit that. And so that was bothersome. They won the rebounding battle 49-46. It should have been much bigger than that. And what the Lakers did smartly was they went to AD at the 5, which was so good for him last year in the playoffs. And that's when AD picked it up, played much better. And so I think going forward, look, we're not going to see as much of Andre Drummond as we think. And AD is going to have to play that 5, and that's when the Lakers are most effective. Also, I like LeBron at the point. I know this year they've had him off the ball more, and he's not the system as he usually is. But when LeBron is bringing the ball up, running the point, he can control the tempo. So with LeBron at the point and AD at the 5, that's when the Lakers were most effective. So I want to see more of that going forward. I think that's their best situation for them.
So I think those are all really good points, but none of them, though, were my two biggest takeaways. My first biggest takeaway is, of course, and Broussard's a very learned, educated man, so I'm going to, go to a famous quote. I think it's, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And in this game, the king was a one-eyed man, and then he blinded Steph Curry with that 3 right between the eyes, as the great Marv Albert would say, to win the game.
What a reach.
So the guy, no, what do you mean, what a reach? Right between the eyes, I think is what Marv would say. Shout out to the Hall of Famer, Marv Albert. And so listen, the guy with the most playoff buzzer beaters and game winners now has the first play-in game winner. It happens to be from 34 feet. Second longest shot in 20 years in these circumstances. Postseason, only Dame's was longer. But the bigger takeaway is about the 47 minutes before that. Why did the Warriors dominate the first half? Defense. Most notably Draymond Green, who said, I think I'm the greatest defensive player ever. And in that first half, he played like it. The Warriors were playing 6-on-5 because Draymond was worth 2 defenders on every pick and roll. He was annihilating Anthony Davis. Right. He played a perfect defensive first half. And in the second half, why did the Lakers win? Defense. They forced 15 Warriors second half turnovers compared to only allowing 17 Warriors second half baskets. And Brandon, I do think this was the first real taste we got this year of championship-level playoff defense, where you had 2 of the best defensive teams in the league, some of the best defensive players in the league, locked in. So that's my other takeaway, is the Lakers, for all their injuries and inconsistency in different lineups, the one thing that's been true all year, they've had the #1 defense. And when you're down 13 at half, what you have to be able to do is get stops. And in that second half, Brandon, that's exactly what they did.
Well, they better continue to lean into that defense, because what I saw last night wasn't pretty when you talk about the Lakers repeating and winning the championship. Last night was fantastic. So I'm going to go with that word that Chris threw out there earlier. Absolutely fantastic. That first half, man, was awesome. You got Steph Curry on one side, LeBron James on the other, Draymond Green. You guys just talked about it. Draymond Green made AD look like a baby. We're talking about 2 for 12, 0 for 3 from deep, 3 turnovers. I mean, come on, AD, and that was a huge takeaway. If you're talking about repeating, you need this guy to play better. Now, obviously, he picked it up in the second half, but this dude, when you look at him playing against the Clippers, you look at him playing against the Nuggets, and you got the Jazz and the Suns up, like, there's no chance of this team repeating if he continues to play like this. This has been the story, Kevin, all year. Last night was fantastic. LeBron James is the man. We talk about him being the king of the finals, king of the playoffs. Now he's the king of the play-in, Wows. It was absolutely awesome for all of us basketball fans. It was great for the NBA. And like Chris said, wherever this idea came from, they need to be promoted. It was absolutely awesome.
Okay. Yeah, well, his name's Evan Wash. He's the EVP already, so I don't know how high we can actually promote him anymore, but he did do an excellent job, perhaps a spot bonus from Adam Silver. Broussard, I want to talk about the turnovers, because through one lens, as Nick would say, the Lakers forced all these turnovers. Oh, it's the great defense, best defense in the league, and they're forcing a bunch of turnovers. Through another lens, the Warriors got super careless with the ball. Super careless with the ball. Steph was careless with the ball. Draymond, who played amazing in the first half, came out the second half feeling himself a little bit and tried to be like Magic Johnson. Draymond started throwing the ball all over the place. Unfortunately, it will, just like Magic Johnson, a lot of the passes were to the Lakers. So if I'm the Suns and I'm watching this game and be like, you know what? I'm Chris Paul. I'm not going to turn the ball over. And what about you? What are you going to do, Devin Booker? It's like, well, I'm going to score because we have more than one scorer on their team, not just like Steph. How about you, DeAndre Ayton? What are you going to do? Like, I'm going to play just like Draymond. So I think that the Warriors, in their loss, provided the Suns with a blueprint on how they can get out of the first round.
Well, DeAndre playing like Draymond's easier said than done. We all know that. But your point is well taken. And look, the Lakers are a tremendous defense. So I get that. But, yeah, Nick overstated it. I mean, all those turnovers were not forced by any stretch of the imagination. You're absolutely right, Wiles, in that Draymond and Steph got sloppy. That's the one thing in Steph's game that you would look at and say sometimes he just gets too careless with the basketball, and that's what happened last night. And so, but here's the thing. It's not new, and you hit it on the head. I'm sure Phoenix will focus on that because the Warriors are 28th in the league in turnovers. So it wasn't just like, oh, last night they got careless. They're careless with the basketball in general, and the Lakers were able to capitalize on that and exploit it.
Broussard, you obviously, you're more these days NBA analyst than reporter, but you still have your sources and you still break some news here and there. Have you heard anything about whether or not Draymond's going to be facing any criminal charges for the assault on LeBron?
All right. You know what?
Is there anything you can tell us about it?
That wasn't even a flagrant. Now, obviously, LeBron got poked in the eye. You could see that when they showed his face. Because at first I was wondering, why is he acting like he's out for the season? You don't think there'll be an arrest? But then I saw the eye, and he did get poked in the eye. You report L.A. County sheriffs are not? Okay, all right, it's good to know. All right, I don't have the sources, Jenna.
Lakers,
I don't have the sources.
That gets underway Sunday afternoon from the desert. Shift to the Warriors now. They got to win tomorrow night to get that 8 seed. Can they pull that off, make a deep playoff run? To be discussed next. Also discussed. We'll do that as well. First things first. Back here on First Things First with Chris Broussard talking about last night's play-in game and what a classic it was. Warriors took the L, but it wasn't for a lack of effort from Steph Curry. The NBA scoring champ hit 6 threes, 37 points. Now sets up a showdown with Ja Morant and the Grizzlies tomorrow night for that 8 seed. So, Broussard, what did last night's loss say about Steph and the Dubs?
Well, man, look, and with all due respect to Memphis, I love Ja Morant, but, man, they better win. Because, like I said earlier, no one wants to see Steph's season end this week. This dude, he's playing the best basketball of his career. And I know the second MVP year, 30 points on 50, 40, 90, 7 assists a game. That was phenomenal. But the fact that he's doing it now with such little help, you know, no Klay Thompson, no second star on the offensive end, it's just incredible. And last night, we talked about it yesterday. The Lakers defend Steph better than any team in the league. The Lakers are arguably the best defensive team in the league, and he still lit them up. With all due respect to LeBron, Steph was the best player on the court last night. And so he is just playing phenomenal basketball. And like I said about the Lakers, they're more vulnerable than I thought. The Warriors are more dangerous than I thought. If they survive Memphis and get Utah, you know, it's hard not to pick Utah. But I'm going to definitely give Golden State a very good chance of pulling off that upset because of Steph Curry. And then other guys are hitting shots. Jordan Poole. You guys laughed at me, I think it was last week, when I had the audacity to mention Jordan Poole favorably as maybe a weapon. I got chuckled at and giggled at and all that. Yep. He can hit threes. JTA. Taylor Horton-Tucker isn't the only one who can get a nickname. JTA. Juan Toscano Anderson. I like him. All right, obviously, Draymond, people been ripping Draymond all year. Oh, get 6 points a game, Hall of Famer. He is a great playmaker and has been all year. He's a great defender and has been all year. He was first team all defense on my ballot, so he's been tremendous. And I want to see it right now on national television.
Damn it.
I want an apology from the great Nick Wright. Say it with me, Nick. Andrew Wiggins can ball.
Yeah,
all right, Andrew Wiggins can ball. I'm not saying he's a star, but I am saying the dude is nice. He's become a great defender. I considered him for all defense. Become a great defender. And once Clay's back next year, the Warriors will be legit contenders again because, as I said, Wiggins is a tremendous third offensive option. I love my man Wiggy. Say it with me, Nick. When it's your turn to speak, say it. You got to give Wiggins
It's
props.
Wild's turn. It's Wild's turn to talk. So I'll let Wild go. It's Wild's turn. Go ahead, Wild.
He did have one great move, Broussard. He had that little turnaround. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was in his game.
Yes,
it was an amazing
that was nice. Yes.
It was an amazing. We should cue it up because that was great. And I don't know if you're going for like a Canadian Mountie ship or something on how big you are on Andrew Wiggins, but you're doing a fantastic job for this campaign. Here's the problem. One problem with Steph, and this is, and I'm a little bit worried about our guy Evan who came up with the play-in tournament. This has all the makings, of a letdown game, and the Grizzlies can win. The Warriors have nothing in the tank. Physically, Steph played a ton of minutes. Draymond played a ton of minutes. They have nothing in the tank emotionally. This was the game they wanted to win. Also, and then on the other side of the ball, there's Ja Morant. We are still waiting for the big Ja Morant moment. We talk a lot about the next wave of superstars, and Ja Morant is always there. Much like the big dunks that he tries to take and then ends up missing. Like, wow, that would have been great if it would have gone in. Nick, that's what we're going to see now. This has to be Ja Morant's moment. I think the Warriors are ripe to be taken down because I think they're physically and emotionally cooked.
Well, listen, I think you make a lot of good points, but I watched this game, Warriors-Grizzlies, with massive stakes. The 8 seed was on the line on Sunday, and the Warriors were in total control through 3 quarters. The Grizzlies made a great push early in the 4th, and the Warriors immediately took back control. And a big part of that was because the Warriors guard Ja Morant the way teams guard Draymond. They just say, well, please shoot. Please shoot. We dare you to shoot. And Ja right now does not have that facet of his game. I think it's a little unfair to say we keep waiting for him. This is his 2nd year, so he will continue to improve. But I do agree that I think we are giving the flowers to the play-in a little early, as great as last night was, because if it costs us the Warriors in the playoffs, it's going to be a net loss for the league. To Broussard's point about Steph, this being his best year, so I think it's a great point. So I think everyone's going to point to the 73 win, like you mentioned, unanimous MVP year, and I'll do a LeBron comp. Like, statistically speaking, LeBron's 2013 season, where they had the 27-game winning streak and he was almost 60% from the field, and they won the title, is his best year. But if you watched it, 2018, after Kyrie left, when he had to do everything himself, and he had his career high in rebounds and assists that year, and then had that remarkable playoff run with the 8 40-point games and the 2-game winners. You're like, I think this might be his best year, even though they got swept out of the finals. I think there are some Steph comps there where, because he's being asked to do more with less around him, he is showing his brilliance. So I think it's a good point. But I also think if we're going to be fair about the Warriors, Brandon, we have to point out that what has been their Achilles heel for 7 years is turnovers. And what cost them the game last night was turnovers. And Steph Curry, once upon a time, in a Game 7, 4th quarter of a finals, threw a behind-the-back pass. The ball went out of bounds. And last night in the second half, Draymond had 6 and Steph had 4. They had 10 turnovers, the 2 guys the Warriors have to have. And some of them came in huge spots, and some of them were just careless. So I think I think we can give Draymond all the credit for how great he was in the first half, Steph all the credit for the impossibility of the shots he was hitting, and still say, Brandon, They were way too careless with the basketball in that second half, and that's what let the Lakers, whose offense was drawing dead, get back in it with some transition buckets.
100%. The first half, they were under full control. Then the second half just imploded. But, Nick, I want to go back to what Chris said. He brought up something extremely important. I mean, are we going to get an apology from you? You know, you never got to that. Like Wiggy, he talked about it. Can we get an apology or what, brother? Like, that's a big deal.
Come on, Nick.
Because nobody.
So
Nick, where you at? Can we throw Nick up there? No, this is a big deal.
Hold on, don't ask for it. If you're not, let me respond. When Andrew Wiggins was traded to the Golden State Warriors, I talked about what a terrible trade it was for Golden State, how it did not make sense for them, how that's not how they should have used the D'Angelo Russell asset, all of it.
I remember that.
I was clearly and obviously wrong. That asset they got back is the draft pick from Minnesota is likely they're going to get it. And Wiggins this year, in a role I did not think he could do, he was efficient. He shot better than he's ever shot. He once again, the one thing he always did was play every night. He did that again, and he improved as a defensive player. So I will, listen, when Brandon likes to say, Nick, when you're right, I'm with you. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I made fun of Broussard, but thankfully, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Broussard is right. Broussard was right.
Yeah, Broussard was right. I was wrong. Broussard was right.
Listen,
I was wrong.
What's funny?
I was wrong about.
Listen, what's funny is at the open of the game, I was thinking about you, Chris. How did this game open? What was it, 2 minutes in? Wiggins blocks. He swats LeBron James' shot. Then he comes down and bangs a three in LeBron's face. Come on, man. I'm glad that you stood up and you did the right thing. You're a true man of integrity. Hats off to you, Nick.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, props.
Right. It's not easy to do what
Nick
you just did.
Likes to be called
not easy
the rest
at all.
Of the day.
Yes.
We got some breaking football news to discuss. Tim Tebow is officially a Jacksonville Jaguar. Will he be an impact player for Jacksonville? That is next. First things first. NASCAR season continues as the Cup Series makes its long-awaited debut at the Circuit of the Americas Road Course. That's in Austin, Texas. The green flag, Brandon, dropping at 2:30 Eastern. FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Talk to me, Brandon.
I'm still waiting on Bubba to get his first win. Come on, first place finish. Come on, Bubba. Cup Series, let's go.
NASCAR fan Brandon Marshall. Time now for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. LeBron James with a clutch 3 last night with less than a minute left in the game to deliver the Lakers the win over the Warriors in the play-in. Now, it locks them into the 7th seed and sets up a matchup with the Phoenix Suns in round 1, and that series gets underway on Sunday. Hey, Brandon, are you more or less confident in the Lakers' title hopes after what you saw last night?
Come on, let's be real, all right? A lot of times on these shows, we have a great time. You know, we have fun. We get into the art and the skill of broadcasting and commentating. But the reality of this conversation, the Lakers aren't good enough. And they showed that last night. So less for me. Why? Because of Anthony Davis. And I've been saying it all year. Anthony Davis is the key. Anthony Davis, going back to the bubble and how they won it last year, he stood up and he started playing lights out, hitting big shots, hitting game winners. Anthony Davis has been missing all year. Now, look, we understand what he can do on the defense side, but we need more, baby. We're talking about 2 for 12 in the first half last night. Boink, 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 boink. 0 for 3 from deep, and then had 3 turnovers. He looked lost in the sauce at times last night. If Anthony Davis can't find a way, and it will be a miracle because he's been searching all year, going back to December, then they have no chance. And Nick, it's time for us to deal with reality. This is a Warriors team. Now everybody is kind of like blinded by the Warriors because the last 2 months Steph Curry just went on a tear. But this is a 39-33 team. That's who they beat last night. Let's keep it real. No Klay Thompson. That's right. No real number 2 superstar. So that's the reality.
So I agree with you on the Warriors being a little overvalued because of recency bias. But what is not overvalued is Draymond Green. And if you look at the Lakers the rest of the playoffs, if we're talking about Anthony Davis and his struggles, who do they have next round? The Phoenix Suns. Do the Phoenix Suns have anyone similar to Draymond Green? No. DeAndre Ayton might one day be a very good player. Currently, he's a good-ish player. He is not a defensive player of the year candidate by any stretch. Who would the Lakers have the next round? Well, either the Blazers, the worst defensive team in the playoffs, worse even than the Nets, or the Nuggets. The Nuggets, who are, again, just going to try to outscore you. Jokic is not winning MVP this year because of his defense. Then in the conference finals, who would they have? Well, maybe the Jazz. They would be thrilled to end up with the Jazz. And Rudy Gobert could give Anthony Davis fits. Luckily, the Jazz could not have no one to deal with LeBron, or they'd be playing the Clippers in the conference finals, or I guess the Warriors again, maybe if the Warriors get all the way there. And the Clippers have no one to deal with AD, most notably Wilds because of this. The Lakers have a cheat code that for some reason they are hesitant to use, but the moment they use it, they go from not only a great defensive team, but an exceptional offensive team. And that is take the center off the court because Anthony Davis is the center.
Yeah.
Last night, Anthony Davis was 1 for 11 with a center on the court and 9 for 12 when he was the center on the court, or 9 for 13, I believe. So that's the answer. The answer is you should be more confident because you saw last night, Wilds, the defense is not going anywhere. Last night was I would say the least athletic LeBron will look the entire postseason as he continues to get better from the ankle injury. The defense is still there, and they can just go to AD at the 5 in high leverage spots like they did last night and blow the other team off the court. I don't think there's any team that can give them any trouble until the NBA Finals, and then we'll see who comes out of the East. But I think you should be more confident.
So there is a blueprint to beat this team. And if I was DeAndre Ayton, I get in the little film room like John Gruden, and I just crush tape of Draymond. And I try to watch everything that Draymond is doing and try to do my best Draymond impression. And while he's probably not there, that Draymond, can call out the opponent's plays, you're probably not going to be able to crush film that much. But what else you're going to see is Draymond makes a lot of plays off pure emotion and pure effort. And if DeAndre Ayton went out there and decided to play his heart out like crazy and be an emotional leader of the team and bother LeBron and don't give LeBron dunks and occasionally poke LeBron in the eyes, I think that could work, Nick. Here's the other thing. Chris Paul's not going to turn the ball over 20 times. The Suns are not going to turn the ball over, and they have 2 scorers. So while the Lakers can go and focus on Steph, and Steph still got his, but you knew where the offense was coming from and everybody else was a bonus, the fact that Devin Booker can get his and then Chris Paul can ratchet up his offense when he wants to, usually in the 4th quarter, I think the Suns have a real chance here. Specifically, if Ayton can do as close of the Draymond impression as possible.
Yeah. Sounds like you're taking the Suns. Sounds like you're taking the Suns.
He's not going to take the Suns. He's not going to take the Suns. I don't think anyone's actually going to take the Suns. And I can't let Are you going to pick the Suns, Brent? Well, we can save for tomorrow because we're going to do our picks tomorrow. So
what do you want to say?
Okay,
let me watch a little bit more film. Let me watch a little bit more film.
You can have 24 hours.
Let me watch a little bit more film, and we'll reveal our picks tomorrow.
DeAndre Ayton to just turn into one of the greatest defensive players of his era by watching more film, I think it's totally unfair. I would also suggest.
But Nick, that's not what I saw, Nick.
Go ahead.
That's not what I saw last night. What I saw last night on that defense, obviously they've been playing lights out on defense all year when you look at the Golden State Warriors. But you saw playoff intensity. You talked about that earlier on the show. We're talking about adrenaline. We're talking about a want-to. We're talking about guys that know what's on the line, what's at stake. They haven't been to the playoffs in 10 years. So we're not asking him to be the best defender. We're asking him to give the want-to and have the effort every single play. That's what it's going to take. And if they do that, and like what Wild said, they protect the basketball, don't turn it over, make the smart play, this is going to be an amazing series.
That's fair. Here's the only thing. If Anthony Davis didn't play in the series against the Suns, Jenna, they still couldn't beat the Lakers, because you know the only thing better than play in LeBron James?
Goodness.
Say it with me, Wiles.
Yes.
Playoffs, LeBron James.
Playoffs,
See you Sunday. Our long national nightmare's over. Only
Much
72
more on this
hours
coming
left.
up on Undisputed right now. See you tomorrow.